that philosophy that overtime would get us there. And evidently, we learned when we finally had the council that it did.
The meeting minutes that I referred to said that the gentleman, Steve Carr, said that you hadn't gotten liquid fuels money for 2022 or 2023.
So I can speak to that too. So I've also tracked the revenues. So let me see if I can make this displayable for everybody. So give me a second here. So these are the revenues budgeted and the actuals received so far. So the actual column obviously is right here. So if you look at liquid fuels, this is really interesting. So give me a second to explain it. We have $118,654 budgeted for this year for liquid fuels, but we received $121,850. And the reason why is because we expect that $118,654, but the $121,850 is 2023 number. And we're expecting another 120,000 or so for 24, and then we'll also be getting the 118. So in reality, we'll be getting about $360,000 instead of the 118, and that's because we finally submitted the correct reporting for DOT for liquid fuels, and we'll be getting all 3 of those years this year. So the silver lining is that we'll have a little bit extra money, so we can use that smartly to address some of the road conditions. But obviously, the ball was dropped in past years.
So was it because of not having actual numbers that they couldn't apply for this?
I don't know what the rationale was for them not applying.
All right.
I don't know if it was complacency or just not knowing how to do it. I don't know.
So the current accountants found this issue, I think.
Correct.
So is there any ramifications, like if they didn't file, what would have happened?
We wouldn't have gotten it.
Well, if we wouldn't have filed this year, we would have lost all the money. 3 years is the max you can go out. Is that your question? We would have lost those 3 years of revenue unless we would have, if we didn't apply this year.
And Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, if we didn't get that paperwork in this year, we might have been barred from ever receiving that money in the
That's correct
future,
too.
correct?
That's the other, yeah.
3 consecutive years without the submission, PennDOT would be able to say no more liquid fuels for you.
That's big.
So not only would you not be getting that revenue for those 3 years, but it could put your status in jeopardy with PennDOT.
So, let me continue. So this brings us to Transcend Finance. So these are the numbers for Transcend Finance. Is this, can everyone read this?
Is that 200?
Is that good? Okay. So it wasn't anticipated that Transcend Finance would be hired during the budget development cycle in late '23. So this 142 of actual spend in 2024, obviously right down here was not budgeted for, okay? So far to date, this year, 29,000 has been spent, and based on their timeline, Transcend Finance's timeline, they're saying they're gonna have everything wrapped up by July, August. So I've done a calculation, so we're anticipating another $72,000 in spend for a total of 244. Now, if you scroll down here, I mean, obviously, yep.
So if I'm understanding, these guys will have been in our employ for over a year, and the total expenditures are 244?
Actually, it'll be over 2 years. What they hired? Oh, they were hired May of last year?
May of last year,
Yeah,
and you're
so
saying
what-
it'll go to August, so a year
Right.
and 2 months.
Yeah.
And what's the projected total?
So the projected total is gonna be 244,000. So almost $250,000 of hiring this firm
Sue
to
Dad
come in
Stevens,
and correct all the missteps
recover the money.
prior.
And then how many years back do they have to go?
So I'll get to that. So just a little narrative from, I asked for a narrative from Mr. Carr at Transcend Finance, and he broke it down by fiscal year. And I'll just bring up a couple points that he mentioned. Again, this is Steve Carr. Slatington staff members had recorded January through July, this is 22. Slatington staff members had recorded January through July journal entries into the financial software. No reconciliations of bank accounts of the year have been completed by Slatington staff members. Transcend Finance recorded approximately 545 journal entries that were not recorded in the financial system from July through December. 2023. No reconciliation of bank accounts had been completed by Slatington staff members. Transcend Finance recorded approximately 930 journal entries that were not recorded in the financial system.
God.
And 2024, Slatington staff members had not recorded any journal entries in the financial software. No, Transcend Finance recorded approximately 1,130 journal entries that were not recorded. In total, the journal entries were 2,605 journal entries that were not made, and that goes back 2.5 years.
Oh
So
my
from July of 2023 till present, well, until they left at the end of the year, no journal entries were made into our accounting system. That's the work that Transcend Finance had to do to get us caught up. In addition to that, we didn't have our audits done as a result. And the problem with that, obviously, is that not having those audits done prevents us from getting grants and so on and so forth. In a lot of cases, not all cases, but in a lot of cases. So it really stymied how we were able to do business, and we're trying to remedy that and we're actively looking for grants because now we're in a better position where we can do that. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we stand with the Transcend Finance and what their goal was and what they needed to accomplish in order to get us on the right path. The only other thing I wanted to mention was the overtime specs. I know that came up too. So this is just an idea. So when you talk about, it was in the administration office, there was one particular individual that ran up overtime, and you can see the overtime here. I have their regular salary here, plus their overtime. So when you look at 2023 here, she's getting close to doubling her salary with overtime. And the problem here is that although this overtime was authorized to quote unquote get caught up, clearly that wasn't happening based on the information I just shared with you from Mr. Carr. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions?
Do we have any legal recourse? I mean, you had a ringmaster in that office who was supposed to be in charge. Do we have any legal recourse? There is a section in the Borough Code that says that if there is a misappropriation of money, I'll look it up if you want, you can go after this person individually. So, do we have any legal recourse? I'd sue him for every penny he had, especially the $83,000 deficit.
Depending on the full results of the investigation, civil and criminal charges would be pursued accordingly.
So there was overtime authorized beginning in 2022 for the sole purpose of catching up on the audit.
Was it
Correct.
that long ago?
June
Was it 2022?
Yes,
222, okay.
because it was presented to us that if we allowed the overtime, that the work being done during that allotted overtime would strictly be for getting us caught up for the audit.
Okay. And, yeah, that didn't
And
happen,
that was not
obviously, so. The other question is where did that overtime?
But we were never privy to the information as to what was being done during those allotted hours. When the questions were asked, they were always darted.
Right. And so. Now with them being done in July, August, you said we will be caught up then on the 2023-2024 audit.
Correct.
And with Transcend Finance, they've also provided support for current, our current staff in the office.
Well, we have, yeah, I mean, I'm relatively new, so I'm still learning. Karen is new, so she's still learning, but we're both in good shape. I don't see any need to keep Transcend Finance around after July or August when they're done with their work.
All right.
So that's a very good question there. But the number of staff hasn't changed. The personnel is adequate to keep on par.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we've been saying for years.
Roy, September 11, 2017, I stood at this podium and made the current council at that time aware of a House bill. It was House Bill 17, and I read it to them, the opening lines. And it read, "Public employees and/or officials are to forfeit their pensions if convicted of crimes related to their public office." I had requested a resolution accepting this House bill. Was never done. That was September 11, 2017. So he could have forfeited, or she could have forfeited, whoever, or both, if they are convicted of a crime.
Was that bill ever passed?
I'm sorry?
Was the bill passed?
Yes, it was. The gentleman from Schuylkill County, I can't think of his name, Dave, what's his name?
Dave Argel?
Dave Argel. He was one of the authors of the bill.
Oh, was that a PA law or a federal
That's
law?
PA.
That's PA.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
And what you contribute to their pension, it'd be a nice return. Don't listen to me, though. What the hell do I know?